I'm a Rust electrician, and I made this electrical room in the most high-tech unraidable base in Rust with YouTuber JTeles. I've had so many people asking me how I made this monstrous electrical room. So here is how I created the most high-tech base in Rust. Now before we get into the tutorial, I want to shout out my Kick. I stream there almost daily and I'd love to see some of you over there. The first things to make is an efficient power source, turrets, and an auto smelter.
Damn, JB, you made this?
I've almost finished setting up the turrets and the smelter.
Oh my god. Jesus.
Oh,
What did you
Oh
do?
god.
I'm dead.
Alright, so the turret and smelter system's done. I'm gonna let JTeles explain how everything works for you. To power this room, I had to make sure the circuit I used is really efficient. So what I did is I created a circuit that will only use the wind power to power all the components, and any excess power generated will go to charge the batteries. This means that the battery is only ever charging and not in use. The only time that the battery will come into use is if the wind power isn't enough to power all the components in the circuit. The reason why I do this is because batteries are actually a lot less efficient when they're in use and charging at the same time. So by using this circuit, it means that the battery is never having to do both at once, so I can save as much energy as possible. Then here we have our auto smelter. It's going to take ores from our drop boxes, smelt them, and then sort them into the right boxes. The reason why it says replug is because since we're living in a bunker, we had to unplug them every time we logged off. So I had a little sign here to tell JTeles where he needed to plug them back in if he got on before me. Now the next two things I made were the automatic Tesla coils and a raid alarm. So here's how I made those. It works. It works. Now that's done, it's time to start on the raid alarm. Even though it's beautiful now, it's not even halfway done yet, so here's an explanation on how it all works. For the Tesla coil system, I use heartbeat sensors to detect anyone that's on the outside of the base to shock them with the Tesla coils. I had the heartbeat sensor and the Tesla coil on the inside of the base underneath the ramps, but just poking through so it can still actually detect people on the other side and shock them. This meant that the Tesla coils would automatically shock people without being able to be shot out from the outside. For the raid alarm, I have a chain of components all around the base in areas that are likely to be broken. I have power running through all of these, and it finishes in the block pass-through of a blocker. The blocker output is then fed into a smart alarm, but the smart alarm isn't getting any power because the chain of components around the base is still all connected. If this chain is broken during a raid, the block pass-through won't be receiving any power, meaning the power will reach the smart alarm, alerting anyone who's connected to it. This system actually allowed me and JTeles to hop on when we were getting offlined and defend our base. Now that the raid alarm and the Tesla coils are set up, it's time to make the last two circuits, the rig timer and the loot mover.
Bro, your character. I cannot get over how fucking god-awfully ugly it is.
Huh?
The rig time is finally done. Alright, we start on the loot mover now. Now, does this work? And now we move it back to the other room. This was empty just before. I did it. I did it. So the rig timers and the loot mover are finally done. Here's how I made them. I made two rig timers for this base, one that counts down from 15 from when the oil crate was activated, and one that displays how long it's been since the last crate was activated. It is a bit counterproductive to have both, as you could get the same information for just one of these, but this was a high-tech base, so I needed everything that I could make. I hadn't used counters before, and since we were mid-wipe, I didn't really have time to experiment, so I looked through some Rustrian discords and found two designs from Spin and Austin Clayler which worked well for this base. I did make a few adjustments, but I'll have the originals on screen and in the description so you can check those out as well. As for the loot mover, it was far more complicated to create than what you would think. I came up with this on the spot during the wipe with no planning on restrictions, so I'm sure that there are far better ways to create this system. However, this is the best that I could come up with on the spot that worked for the base that we had. I used buttons to control the conveyors in each room, and I made use of my auto sorting drop box to make the system easier to create. So when you depot in a drop box, it will sort into the active loot room. The only downside to this is you have to deactivate the active room before you move it to another room, otherwise your items will just be in a constant rotation between the two. You can adjust this to fit a clan base and even make improvements to move the loot automatically, so if you do improve on this design, let me know on my Discord linked below. You can use the restriction link that I have provided in my Discord server also if you want to have a base to start working off. For any of you guys that want to recreate any of the circuits that I've made here in your own base, I'll have the restriction links in my Discord server, which you can find in the description. Since there are just so many components in this, I think it's way easier to just give you guys a link so you can interact with it yourself and change it however you wish. And that concludes how I made the most high-tech, unraidable base in Rust.